Valentine's Day is right around the corner, which means Lovuary is officially in full swing. To get in the spirit, I went over to IMDb to see how the world has rated our favorite Hallmark Valentine's classics, and I have to tell you, some of these scores actually shocked me. A few of them are spot on, a few feel way too low, and there is one in particular that I think is way too underrated. So I've reordered the list from the lowest score to the absolute highest, and I'm going to tell you exactly where IMDb got it right and where they got it wrong. Let's get to the first one. Let's start at the very bottom of the leaderboard. Welcome to Valentine comes in at a 5.6, which is officially the lowest rating on our list. But honestly, I think the internet is being a little rough here. It stars Catherine Davis as Olivia and Markian Tarsiak as George, two strangers who end up on a cross-country road trip that, in true Hallmark fashion, turns into something more. Now, I'm not saying this is a cinematic masterpiece, but a 5.6 feels unnecessarily harsh. This movie isn't trying to be flashy or win an Oscar. It's cozy, it's charming, and it knows exactly what it is: classic Hallmark comfort. I've noticed that IMDb users often punish simplicity, but for a Valentine's movie, isn't simplicity exactly what we're looking for? It's a low-stakes, high-warmth story that deserves a bit more credit. I'm curious, if you've seen this one, do you think a 5.6 is fair because it's too simple, or do you agree with me that it is underrated? Let's settle this in the comments. Next up is All Things Valentine, sitting right in that average 6.2 range on IMDb. Now, I am a huge Sam Page fan, but even with him in the lead, I can see why the score is where it's at. It's better than a 6.2, but it's not quite a masterpiece. We've got Sarah Rafferty, who most of you know as the iconic Donna from Suits, playing Avery, a blogger who goes on a viral anti-Valentine's rant after a brutal breakup. The twist? Her rant accidentally tanks the business of the town's local veterinarian, Brendan, played by Sam Page. This is a classic enemies to lovers set up with a digital twist. They're bickering in the comments section of her blog while unknowingly falling for each other in real life. It's basically a modern Hallmark version of You've Got Mail. Sam Page is, as always, effortless. He has this grounded, warm energy that keeps the movie from feeling too saccharine. And his chemistry with Sarah feels mature and real. IMDb has this at a 6.2. I think that's a bit stingy for a movie with this much wit. I'm giving it a 6.5. It's modern, it's funny, and it's a top-tier Sam Page performance, but it stays comfortably in that solid weekend watch category. If you're a fan of Suits or just want a rom-com with a bit of a sharper edge, don't let the 6.2 scare you off. Now we're getting into the ones that are just disappointing. My Secret Valentine sits at a 6.6 on IMDb, and honestly, that feels like a total oversight. We are talking about the origin story of the Hallmark King and Queen, Andrew Walker and Lacey Charbet. If you haven't seen this one lately, Andrew plays Seth, a smooth-talking sales rep sent to buy out Chloe's family winery. It's the classic big city business versus small-town heart setup, but with a brilliant romantic twist. While they're clashing in person over the winery, they're unknowingly falling in love through anonymous chalkboard notes in a rental cabin. It is the ultimate secret admirer trope done right. The chemistry here is so effortless, it practically glows. They don't just read lines, they actually have fun together. There's a scene where Andrew adopts this hilariously bad Texas accent to help her sell wine, and you can see Lacey genuinely laughing. You can't fake that kind of rapport. It captures that perfect, fluttery Valentine energy where you're falling for someone's mind before you even realize who they are. IMDb gives this a 6.6. I'm sorry, but for the OG Walker Charbet collab, no way. This is the movie that launched 1,000 fan accounts. Because of that chalkboard romance and the sheer joy of seeing them together for the first time, I'm bumping this to a solid 6.9. If you think 6.6 is fair, tell me why in the comments, but I'm standing by my 6.9. Climbing up to a 6.6, we have a Valentine's match, and this score seriously undersells it. Look, I'm just going to say it. No movie starring Bethany Joy Lenz should be sitting in the SIXS. the woman can act. She brings a level of craft to these roles that elevates every single scene. And let's talk about Luke McFarlane. He is the absolute king of the sincere hero. He has this way of playing Zach, the sweet, slightly timid hardware store owner, with so much heart that you're rooting for him from minute one. He doesn't just play a love interest. He plays a man who is clearly still in love, and he does it with so much subtlety. When you pair his steady, grounded energy with Bethany's spark, you get something really special. Bethany and Luke actually have an incredible professional rapport. They've talked about how they work together behind the scenes to make their banter feel more natural and less like a standard script. Because of that, the dialogue doesn't feel written, it feels lived in. Their second chance chemistry is top tier, and even the meddling parent subplot actually adds to the fun because the leads make it feel so real. I've lost count of how many times I've rewatched this one. It has the small town charm, the delightful banter, and that spark that only happens when you have two leads who truly know their craft. IMDb says 6.6, but I'm giving it a solid 7.0. It's absolute gold for Hallmark fans, and yeah, I'm definitely going to watch it again. Next up is Matching Hearts, which currently sits at a 6.8 on IMDb. Now, that's a respectable score, but let's be real. Anytime you put Ryan Pavey and Taylor Cole in the same frame, the vibe rating immediately breaks the scale because both Ryan and Taylor have that rare, effortless charm that makes them equally beloved by both men and women. Taylor Cole plays Julia, a professional matchmaker nicknamed the Cupid of Portland, and Ryan Pavey is Daniel, a skeptical entrepreneur who thinks he's too busy for love. What makes this movie work so well is that it doesn't feel like a one-sided romance. Ryan brings a grounded, cool energy that guys respect, while Taylor brings a sophisticated warmth that keeps the story moving. They actually feel like two real adults navigating a career-driven world. And let's not forget the pet factor. Ryan Pavey helping out at a puppy adoption event is essentially the gold standard of Hallmark moments. It's cozy, it's heartwarming, and it hits every beat a Valentine's movie should. IMDb has it at a 6.7, but because of that top-tier pairing and the perfect Portland atmosphere, I'm bumping this to a solid 7. It is a total Valentine's Day mood and stays high on my rewatch list. If you think a 6.7 is fair, you've got to tell me why in the comments, because to me, this is a Hallmark classic. Coming in at the top spot, and honestly the only movie on this list that feels like a true cinematic event, is The Lost Valentine. It's currently sitting at a 7.5, but in my book, this is a masterpiece. Based on the novel The Last Valentine, this stars the legendary Betty White in one of her most moving roles ever. She plays Caroline Thomas, a widow who has spent 65 years returning to the same train station every Valentine's Day, waiting for the husband she lost in World War II. Jennifer Love Hewitt plays the journalist who uncovers her story, and the way their bond grows is just beautiful. This isn't your typical fluffy Hallmark romance. It's a story about enduring love, grief, and a level of loyalty that feels like it belongs to a different world. It's painfully lifelike because for so many women of the World War II and Korean War eras, this wasn't just a plot point, it was their reality. Thousands of women spent decades holding onto hope, or simply honoring a love that was cut short by history. Watching Betty White bring that quiet, dignified strength to the screen is a tribute to that entire generation. It's something every Hallmark fan needs to experience at least once. Honestly, I have never watched this movie without getting emotional, and I always have to mentally prepare myself before I hit play. It's that powerful. So, while IMDb has it at a 7.5, because of the acting, the history, and the sheer weight of that story, I'm giving it a solid 8.0. It's the gold standard for what a romance movie can be. If this one didn't make you cry, I'm not sure we're watching the same movie. So, there it is, IMDb's #1 pick, The Lost Valentine. It's heavier, more emotional, and more dramatic than anything else on the list. But looking at these rankings raises the real question. Should Hallmark movies be judged by drama standards or comfort standards? Critics and casual voters might chase intensity, But let's be honest, we watch for warmth. Sometimes the coziest, most rewatchable films get the lowest scores simply because they make it look effortless. To me, calling a movie that makes you feel this good a 6.6 feels completely off. Now I want to hear from you. What's your number one Hallmark Valentine movie? Which ratings do you think totally missed the mark? Share your thoughts in the comments. And don't go anywhere. Coming up are the previews for the 2026 Loveuary schedule, so you can lock in your Saturday nights this February. Happy Loveuary, and I'll see you in the next one.